Welcome to Nifty 50 Photographers. Today's video, I'm going to let you into a secret of how you can dramatically improve your photography. I'm sure we all look at images and think, wow, that's a fantastic shot. How did they get that? I wish I could do that. I'm going to let you into a little secret of how some professionals work and how you can improve your photography by adopting the same technique. A few years ago, I took a course on reportage photography. Now, if you don't know what reportage is, it's really about photojournalism, telling a story with your photos, one that's very relevant and are usually about political or something of that kind of nature. But it transformed how I thought about how to take my photos. One of the key differences is you're not just trying to tell a story with one photo, you're thinking about a series of photos to make up a photo essay to tell that story. And we don't hear about photo essays very much now because the days of Life magazine and things have gone. The photographers from that era I think were some of the best and took some of the most amazing shots. When I did my course with a guy called Stuart Friedman, I'll put a link to his work down below. He really introduced me to people like W. Eugene Smith. I've got one of his books here. He is perhaps the godfather of the photo essay. And in those days, everybody was vying to get space in the magazine. They wanted double page spreads, so their photos really had to be outstanding. It was their only way to be seen. They didn't have the joys of Instagram and all the other social media channels to get their work out there. Now, the big difference with those people is they think in a couple of different ways. First of all, they know their cameras inside out. It's instinct to take the photo. They don't have to think about their settings. I would encourage you to do exactly the same. Get to know yours inside out so you don't have to think about how to focus, how to set the exposure. It should just come naturally to you. And there's lots of great channels out there that will help you with, and I'll put a link to a playlist on my own channel here. But secondly, another thing they do is they study the work of great photographers and great artists even, and they have this kind of image database in their head. So when they're in a pressure situation, their subconscious just takes over and helps them compose that photo. It might recall an image that they've seen before that really impressed them, and in a way they'll recreate their own version of that there and then on the spot. So that's one of the skills you could learn to do. Study the work of great photographers. In my little office here, I'm surrounded by photography books from some great people, as well as some artists as well. So how do you get started? Well, one of the things I learned from Stuart on my photography course was the structure of a photo essay. And there were 6 key shots. So I'll go through that with you now, and I'll reference some of my own work. I'm going to tell you a little photo essay by a guy called Jack, who creates things from wood, particularly things like gates and fences and that sort of thing. And it's all handcrafted. He does use some power tools, but fundamentally he's clefting pieces of oak and so on to create things like fences and gates. So what are the 6 key shots you need? Well, the first one you need is an establishment shot, something to set up the scene. The second one will be a medium distance shot, something taken a bit further back, a wider shot that helps draw the viewer into the story. Then thirdly, you'll need a relationship shot. Now this can be between 2 people, or it might be between a person and an object. Then you'll need a close-up shot. And that speaks for itself, but it's really a detail shown in complete isolation that helps enhance your story. Then you'll need the action shot. This is really the meat of your story, and it's fairly self-explanatory. And finally, you'll need an ending shot. Now, some people will argue you also need a portrait shot as well. Depends a little bit about what your story is about. So let me take you through this sequence with a series of my own shots. So here in the establishment shot, I've got Jack carrying his piece of wood out from the forest. And this was very much inspired by a shot I'd seen taken by Eugene Smith of the country doctor. And this is my version of it. But you can see this should establish the fact that here we've got a guy, he's dressed like a lumberjack, and he's working with wood very clearly. Now in this medium distance shot, I've tried to get a little bit further back, set the scene a bit more and draw you into the story. Again, you can see we're in a forest, we're in a woods, the guy is working with hand tools and working with a tree. Now in this third and relationship shot, what I was trying to do was show the relationship between the craftsman and the wood he's working with, his sensitivity to it, how he's looking at the material closely, wondering how he's going to shape his product out of this beautiful piece of wood. So that's how I've established my relationship shot between a person and the object. Now my next shot is this close-up. And what I wanted to do here, I had this quote spinning round in my head from Abraham Lincoln, was if I was given an hour to chop down a tree, I'd spend the first 45 minutes sharpening my axe. And I wanted to kind of show that scene with Jack. He really took special care of his tools, and he spent a lot of time sharpening them before he went to work to make sure he could get the best out of them. And then here is my action shot. Actually, this was another one inspired by W. Eugene Smith. He took some photos in a Spanish village, and there was one of these ladies tossing the ears of corn and them sort of spraying into the air. And I had that same feeling of all this sawdust flying out from the chainsaw and wanted to create that similar shot. And this is my interpretation of that. And then finally, here's the end image. So it's the finished gate made from cleft pieces of oak, and Jack pleased with his work, and it installed in the garden where it was commissioned for. Now I had a lot of other shots, many of him working and whittling down his pieces of wood to create the rails that form the gate and so on. But I had to be really rigorous and try and narrow it down to those 6 shots, partly for this video, but I also pitched the story to Lancashire Life, and they did accept it, but it never got printed, unfortunately. But that's what you need to do. You need to really focus in on getting your best work and using that for your little story. And you can do something basic with it, like just post it as a Facebook story. I'm sure you'll get some lovely comments from your friends and followers. It's very easy to get started by practicing. Go out and choose a local event in your neighbourhood, for example. Maybe you're going on holiday. How could you tell the story of that trip? But think about your story before you set off. What kind of shots are you going to need? How are you going to make them fill the structure I've outlined to you? Have those in your head when you're taking your photos. Oh, now I need a close-up. What can I do? And in that way, you'll get used to taking a series of photos. And I would encourage you to do that the most. Try thinking about taking a series. Really will help improve your photographic technique, your photographic storytelling, and your overall approach to taking photos. Now, what you should do next, watch my playlist on how to get the best out of your camera so you really understand it. And that will help you become instinctive about how to take the shots without even having to think about it. I look forward to seeing you next time.